Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Healthy Christian Leader Show. My name is Jake. I am a guest host for Dwight today, but we're so glad that you've joined us again this week on the show. This week, we have a special guest, Tim Smith from Care Impact. Thanks for being with us, Tim.
Thanks, Jake.
Yeah, great to have you here. And today we want to talk about being integrated, holistic beings and what that means as followers, an embodied, incarnational understanding of life. And so, Tim, this is a little bit of what you do. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Thanks, Jake. Yeah. So I get to work with a couple ministry teams. My wife and I have been with Youth with a Mission, or YWAM, for almost 20 years. And so that was kind of our connection point to coming to Nova Scotia. But being here in Canada, my wife's not originally from Canada, coming back to Canada for myself because I was born and raised in Ottawa, we came into connection with an organization that was just kind of getting going about 10 years ago, called Care Impact now. And the focus of Care Impact is really equipping and connecting the church in the space of caring for the most vulnerable across our nation.
Yeah.
And we really work in a way that's local with people that are implementing what we really are passionate about on the local level. So we have an equipping arm. I get to lead a team of trainers that specifically train in the area of understanding trauma and then how to care in light of trauma. And then we refer out to lots of resources like Sanctuary Mental Health course and lots of great things out there that are resources to really build the church up in caring for the most vulnerable in our communities. And then we have another pillar of what we're doing as Care Impact, which is really that connecting piece. We're stewarding a tool called Care Portal right now, but allowing the community to really operate as community. So the church can often not know particularly what needs in the community might be, like, say, a social worker would, or an educator. So we have service providers able to put needs into a system that then goes out to a local geographic radius of churches and say, yeah, we would meet a need. We would be a neighbor at the point of care. Wow. And what turns into meeting a need turns into meeting a neighbor, which often turns into long-term relationships. So that's, like, in a quick nutshell, kind of what I sit in on a daily basis is this team that's thinking, how can we as the church really be equipped to care for the most vulnerable in our communities? And like I said, leading trainings or helping the church access great resources. And then the connecting piece are two pieces. And then we have a podcast, which
yes, you do.
About. Yeah.
Journey with Care.
That's right.
Yeah, so your own podcast, and we'll be linking to that in our notes below. So make sure you check that out, Journey with Care podcast.
Yeah, awesome. We've had some great conversations, and I'm excited about the conversation today. I've got to watch some of the episodes here. I've never actually been here, so hope that introduction serves to kind of help people understand who I am in this conversation.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this is great. We're really excited to have you and to talk about holistic beings as human beings, holistic care, what it means to be human beings. Obviously, as leaders, we can often in spiritual work focus on spiritual health, emotional health, mental health, but it's easy actually to forget other parts of our health, our physical health. And so we want to talk today about what's it mean to be integrated as human beings. And so let's start with, what is a healthy understanding? How do we understand ourselves as human beings?
Yeah, I love going back to our origin story, the one we're given in Genesis 1-3, and watch God, the Creator, and John chapter 1 invites us with a new angle, that it was the Word in the beginning, who we then come to know as Jesus, who would take on flesh, literally body, which we're going to get to in a second, right? But so just go back to the Genesis 1 narrative again. God comes as spirit and he hovers. He's present over the chaos, wherever that came from and whatever was going on. God comes and he's literally present to the creation. And he begins to speak, and the entire physical realm that we now live in, the materials that created this chair and all the things in this room and the natural world out there on a beautiful sunny day, which we have here in Nova Scotia, which is incredible, watching the world come alive, all of that comes alive and comes into order because God speaks. And then we learn in John chapter 1 that literally was Jesus present at creation.
Yeah.
So I go back to the origin story and watch God doing what he's doing. And then he takes his hands, the same fingers that put the stars in the sky, according to the psalmist, right? And he literally takes mud, earth, and forms this being.
Yeah.
And Adam's name, or the name Adam, would be earth, or from the earth, or red, or there's different interpretations in different languages. But in the Hebrew, it has this sense that he's from the earth, but then he becomes an animated being, a being with a soul and all of the capacities that we have, mind and emotions, and the ability to be social and relational, all of that, because God breathes into him, right? So it all starts with something so physical, even before he's an animated being. He's a physical thing that God created. And then of course we have Eve, who's literally extracted from the physicality of Adam and then brought to Adam, and their physical connectedness, they're naked and not ashamed. They have this complete connection, mentally, emotionally, relationally, spiritually, socially, completely connected with each other and with God. Like that's the originality of humanity. Now, we're at this moment in history when there's lots of brokenness, and there's lots of disconnect, not just me from you or us from them, but literally the parts of Tim have become disintegrated. So then I jump forward to Jesus, the Word becomes flesh, and he says that he's activating the ministry of reconciliation. And he doesn't actually say he's just reconciling all people to himself. He says he's reconciling all things to himself.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
So it's literally the entire universe, all the things that God has made, but it's literally, I've come to see it for myself as all the disintegrated parts of Tim.
Wow.
He says, Tim, but I want that part too. I want that part too. So when God comes to save the world, the entire universe, he literally comes with skin on. Like he comes in a body that can be broken, a body that will be tired, like a body like yours and mine. Like the writer of Hebrews says that he's not that high priest that's disconnected, but he actually comes and he feels and experiences everything that we do. He doesn't sin, but everything else he experiences. So that's kind of where I start with this idea of like, who are we as beings? We are literally image bearers of this God who is present. And of course, I mean, we can keep going on this for a long time, right? But he is a God who is, as we call it, Trinity, or 3 in 1. There's parts to his essence, and they're always in perfect connection. And he literally makes this statement, which it always gets me when I see it in Genesis. Let us make man in our image. One God, but Father, Son, and Spirit working in perfect unity. That's the image that we're carrying, is different parts that are designed to work in perfect unity. No part disconnected, no part told that it's less than and it should just be subservient to. That's not how the Trinity operates, how God operates. It's not how he designed us.
I love that. I never thought of, Christ reconciling all things as all the things in us, as one component of his, beautiful, all-encompassing reconciliation. That's brilliant. Truly, that is something to chew on. And it reminds me of also something one of the church fathers said about, Christ had to assume everything we are to save us. He couldn't save anything that he didn't assume himself. And I think that's just so incredible. And again, the importance of the incarnation and becoming like us to be able to save us who are human, as Hebrews says. So you've talked about these various parts of each of us, a human being made up of emotion, spirit, body, heart, mind, will. What does it mean, or what can you tell us about the connection between these things in a healthy way, and also socially and relationally? What does it mean to have healthy harmony between these things?
Yeah, as I think about the God whose image we bear, you've probably heard it said that the God we have is whoever it is that we serve or worship is the God we become, right? And so in many ways, I think we've treated God as separate. And so then we find ourselves treating ourselves that way, as separate parts of Tim, and then also, of course, separate parts of community. But yeah, this idea that starting with in whose image we are actually made, the one true God, is this being who is Father, Son, and Spirit, different roles, but continually Perichoresis is the fancy word, they're using earlier on in the church, and this idea of being in a dance. And so this idea of health is this, if there's one word that comes to my mind as soon as you ask the question, it's communication. It's a sense of connection, but this communication where there's this back and forth. Jesus, when he was here, embodied fully walking on the dirt that his body literally came from. Yeah. When he was here with us, he was constantly in that connection with his Father, to the point he says, there's nothing I do that I'm not doing because the Father's doing. And everything I say, the Father's saying. Like, he was so integrated with the Father. And then I got really excited recently when I'm watching Jesus say, hey, it's better that I'm going, which I've sat with for a while. Like, how is that better?
Yeah.
And he says, it's better because I'm going to be sending you. I'm going to send millions of embodied people who are carrying my Spirit. Yeah. And the method and the message of the gospel, John 17, Jesus' prayer, the method and the message of the gospel are our unity, the unity of our body. Like, I walked in here with my whole body.
Yeah.
Paul would say, don't discount yourself or other parts of the body. You can't say the eye, like you're not that important, or, or say to yourself, I'm just, a foot, but don't discount yourself. Can't discount others, because you're integrally part of the body that literally is the way you will refer to it, I think, in a little later in our conversation, but you're literally the temple of God. And at one point that's said in the singular, like, you're the temple, your body is the temple, my body is the temple. And then it's also said in the plural, you, plural, are the temple. So John 17, Jesus' prayer to his Father, he's saying, hey, I'm going, but I know how I'm going to embody myself when I leave. And he tells his disciples, it's going to be better. Just wait. Wait for the Spirit. Don't go without the Spirit. He's going to be on you and in you and with you. From here to the end of the year, it doesn't matter time and space. He's going to be with you, and it's going to be that reintegration, which is a process.
Right.
It doesn't happen all of a sudden.
Yes.
It's this process of those pieces coming back together. The ministry of reconciliation, which we said Jesus was activating.
Yes.
He then says, I want you to be ministers of reconciliation.
Yes.
Right? And it's not just, go across the street and, be friends with somebody who's a little hard to be friends with. It's the whole package, right? It's Tim saying, actually, me reintegrating all the parts of myself, letting God do that process with me, is the way that I can then extend that, because I'm in that process inwardly. I can extend that process outwardly with the people around me, especially the people that are maybe the hardest to connect with, right?
Right.
The people that are least like me. So yeah, when I think of, what does it look like? How do we get there? It's communication. It's coming back into communication with the Father, with the Spirit. And yeah, I guess I didn't finish my comment about what really excited me when Jesus said that he was going. I shared a bunch of what has been really intriguing to me. But then this reality that there's no part of the Trinity that's less than, right?
Yeah.
And so Jesus says, it's better that I'm going. Just wait, I'm sending you my Spirit. And he's literally deferring to the Spirit, saying, this is going to be even more amazing. So the Father at Jesus' baptism says, this is my beloved Son. And on the mountain too, he's like, listen to this guy.
Yeah.
He is my beloved Son. Pointing to Jesus. Jesus is constantly pointing to the Father. If you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Right? And then Jesus, at that moment of leaving, is saying, look, my Spirit, he's just awesome.
Yeah.
You gotta. So is this connection where we're constantly deferring to one another. And so to me that means, Jake, that it's in community, the people that are different than me, or in the church, the people who I might not connect with. No, they are not just good also.
Yeah.
They're not just important too. They are actually integral, and I actually defer to them.
Right.
Right. And that's the posture of humility. And then I'll just bring it back around.
Yeah.
To my being. I need to do the same with my being.
Yeah.
If I'm not doing this internally, I am not going to externalize it with someone else.
Yeah.
So when I say, Tim, your mind's not really important today, then my mental health suddenly says, hey, I'm here. Yeah. Same with my body. My body feels it. My emotions, my relationships, it's all connected.
Well, this has been a great start. We're going to pause here and move into a second part of this conversation on holistic being.
Well, today's conversation was fantastic, but we're not finished yet. We'll be back in the next video with the same guest with more discussion about leader health. You know the drill. Subscribe and hit that bell. Would you join us for the next episode? You can find new episodes every week in video form on the Aaron Ministry YouTube page and in audio form as the Healthy Christian Leader Show wherever you get your podcasts. Aaron Ministries is an interdenominational network of friends in ministry with a mission to foster healthy Christian leaders. Check out our website, aaronministries.com, for more resources and information on how to donate or to start a healthy Christian leader gathering in your area. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.